I'm in Hebden Bridge in West Yorkshire, standing by an enormous Christmas tree in the town square. There's a choir singing Christmas carols in the background. Wonderful festive atmosphere here. The trees are full of bunting, which is in the shape of trousers. We'll come back to the trousers later. There are people in Christmas hats. The film Elf is playing at the local cinema. There's a Father Christmas I can see standing on a bridge. The only curious thing is the date, because today is actually the 25th of June. So what the hell is going on?
Welcome to The Ways of Water, a podcast series exploring our English waterways through the arts, ecology, industrial history, well-being, and the deep mysteries of water itself. Presented by me, David Bramwell, and with the occasional guest appearances from the inimitable John Shuttleworth and his neighbour Ken. During the Christmas period of 2015, Hebden Bridge in Mytholroyd in West Yorkshire experienced some of the worst flooding these areas had ever seen, leaving people unable to move back into their homes and places of work for up to 6 months or more. This episode explores some of the stories around the extraordinary community spirit that emerged out of this crisis.
It's the 25th of June. Can I ask what's going on?
Because of the floods back in December, Christmas was wiped out for Hebden Bridge. They've organised this as a summer Christmas, if you like, to entertain people, and it's brought a lot of people in, and it's just amazing. You know, these shops were all up to the tops of the doorways in water, and they've all bounced back, from the abyss, if you like.
Happy Christmas.
Thank you. To you.
Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Come and get some food.
My name's Jocelyn Fielding and I work for Earth Spirit and Spirals on Market Street in Hebden Bridge. On Christmas Day, we knew we were on flood alert. Although lots of our members of staff live in Hebden Bridge, we're not locals, so lots of us go back to family and stuff at Christmas. So my family was one of the only families close to the town. So we came in with the owners on Christmas night and we cleared everything in both shops to waist height as a precaution, thinking we'd be covered if the water came in. Unfortunately, as you probably know, in our shops anyway, it was over 5 foot, which is kind of average shoulder height to most of us that work here. On Boxing Day, I woke up about 6 o'clock and had a number of missed calls off the owner on my phone, and the voicemail just said, "It's happening."
Flooded in a torrent of fear, flooded, someone help us here, flooded, the water is rising, still the rain it comes, flooded, the lights go out, flooded, our power is taken, flooded, the town's in darkness, still the rain it comes.
We then got a WhatsApp group of colleagues together and we were discussing what to do. One colleague got in to get the owner out of town because we were worried about how she was going to manage getting through the water on her own and what kind of physical and emotional state she was in. And by that time, we were told we couldn't come back into town then until it was safe to do so and the roads weren't accessible. So for us, it was the day after Boxing Day. We all arrived. I think there were 17 of us in total came and began cleaning up and began building the shops back together.
Flooded, we're calling out, flooded, can you hear us shout? Flooded, we're desperate now and still the waters come.
I'm just by the Trades Club, Hebden's famous music venue, and there's a bunch of bikers outside, also in Christmas gear. I don't know if the bikers are here for the Christmas celebrations or whether it's just something they do every weekend. And I'm heading into one of the junior schools, Riverside Junior School, where people are gathering for a big Christmas feast.
But this is a lovely Christmas lunch for all the volunteers who helped in the flood times. So these are all people who really worked hard to help with the floods.
The bikers that are all here today, they were part of the volunteer groups who helped with the disasters in Christmas time.
Yes, we came down and we did what we call biker security. I got just a group of bikers, put it on Facebook, we need your help. We did Hebden Bridge, Mytholroyd, Tomberdin, Sorby Bridge, Brighouse and Elland. And we just walked the towns every night from 7 at night to 3, 4, 5 in the morning, just making sure that people's houses were safe, just stopping people from looting and breaking into houses, basically.
Wow. It's very different to Mick Jagger back in the 60s hiring the Hells Angels as security for his gigs.
Yeah. It also lets people know that bikers aren't as mean as we make out.
And you're here to have some food with everyone?
They've invited us for Christmas lunch, which we're coming for in 5 minutes.
Terrific.
And then we are doing a ride-through. They've asked us to do a ride through the town. So at 2:30, we're leaving Mythenroyd Community Centre, riding down through the town, weaving up and down the streets, and then back off again.
I'm sure I'll hear you before I see you.
Oh, you'll hear us. You will hear us. They've asked for a sound like 1,000 Spitfires, and they're going to get it.
Hello, I'm Amy Harbour and I was the director of Hebden Bridge Community Association that runs the town hall in Hebden Bridge. There was a very weird afternoon and evening of waiting for the water to subside and just thinking about, for me, what do we do next? What do we do next as a community at this time to help ourselves?
Flooded with love and humanity, flooded, a caring community together. The people are rising, we shall overcome.
So what they did was help make the town hall the focal point for the community, while Amy's husband Tim built a web app, a database that could be accessible from any mobile device. And it wasn't just to contain the details of those in need, but also those offering help. It was a combination of community spirit, social networking and technology that helped Hebden pull through the crisis.
The idea was to just open the doors of the town hall as a dry place, and we could make tea and coffee for people, and we had electricity, so we set up a mobile phone charging point so that people could still contact friends and family or emergency services. So you have hundreds and hundreds of people walking through the doors, and every single one of them has a different story. So they are an electrician and they want to help. They're worried about the infrastructure of their house and it's falling down. There is a granny who is stuck on the first floor, and she's a vulnerable adult and she uses a wheelchair and she can't get down the stairs, and you just didn't know what you were going to be hit with. You don't think that a town that's flooding needs a web developer as part of their volunteer team, but actually it was the thing that allowed us to be successful in dealing with the sheer amounts of people coming in, both with need and with skills.
I've just spotted Elvis. There's a question I have to ask you. Elvis.
I am.
Can I ask you a question? Merry Christmas. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Are you having a blue Christmas?
Yeah, sure am. I can't help it. All this snow has got...
I think Elvis might have been overdoing it with sherry. But while Hebden's festivities were in full swing, a few miles away, the village of Mythenroyd was hosting its own celebrations in the form of a gala. Mythenroyd had in some ways been hit even worse, with some residents still unable to return to their homes 6 months on. I was only just beginning to take in the full extent of the effects of these floods.
I'm Sue Slater and I'm in Mythenroyd in Headquarters Hairdressing Salon, which is right on the main road. We were flooded 3 years ago, and within 3 or 4 days we were back up and running again, but this time it was completely different. We had structural damage, we'd lost windows, walls had come through, the water was above 6 feet in the salon, so everything that was in the salon was had to be thrown away. We lost the front window. My reception desk is somewhere down the river somewhere. I've never found it. On one of these days when I was wandering around Mythenroyd and saying, what can we do, can I help, there was a group of young boys, and they'd come from Bradford, and they stopped me and they said, excuse me love, can you tell me where we deliver the food to? And I said, well, what food is that? He said, well, we've made all these curries and things and we're bringing them down tomorrow. But we need to know where they need to be dropped off. We've been told to bring them to Mythenroyd, and this is Mythenroyd. And I said, yes, it is. And he said, well, where do we take them? Where do we deliver the food? So I said, oh, well, because we'd set up hubs by this time, and we'd got a little hub across at the Memorial Garden and one at the top of the hill. And I said, well, I think you need to, if you wouldn't mind, would you drop them off there? I'm sure they'll see to you. And would be very grateful. And he said, oh, right. He said, because he said, at times like this, we have to stick together and do things for one another. And I just said to him, I said, that's really kind, but can you stop now? Because I haven't cried yet, and you're just about to make me cry with your kindness. And he went, all right, love, and he scurried off. So that's another, little story of people coming from away to help us, and they came from all over the country, really, to help.
Don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. No, no, no. Don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me. Till I come marching home.
Right, I'm off to the marina at Hebden to find out more about the waterways, what happened to them during the floods, and a little bit more about trousers.
My name's Melanie, and I run Crafts Afloat. So we're currently on my boat at the moment, which is moored in the marina in Hebden Bridge.
So the first thing you asked me when I came on board was, am I here to make some trouser bunting? Can you say a little bit about what the relationship with Hebden and trousers is?
It's to do with the fact that Hebden Bridge used to be a textile industry, and so they used to make lots of corduroy trousers. It's a specific type of corduroy. I've got involved with the Arts Festival to make some trouser bunting, which is going to be hung up on some of the narrowboats that you can see out of the window and around the marina here.
And were you personally affected by the flooding this Christmas?
Both of my boats thankfully stayed afloat and on the canal.
The festive atmosphere that weekend at Hebden was unforgettable. On Boxing Day, the townsfolk even held a great procession. Singers in blue rags, dressed as raging torrents of water, sang the story of the flood, followed by people dressed as mud monsters, mud-spattered Christmas trees, then eager beavers and busy bees with brushes for cleaning, and finally, a giant and glorious sun. The people interviewed for this podcast represent only a tiny fraction of the selfless work and goodwill of countless volunteers. And the final word comes from Amy Harbour.
Me and Tim want Christmas at this time of year, every year. This is great. I mean, we're outside enjoying the sun together. Oh, it's fabulous. For me, today is so important because it is a reflection of what we did together after the floods. But today we can celebrate. We couldn't celebrate on the 27th. Today we're celebrating our community.
That was so beautifully said. And the bagpipes stopped halfway through it. Would you be able to...
What I said?
You said, for me today, it's really important because...
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I love it.
They should come in at the end. Just to
Yes.
Ways of Water was presented by me, David Bramwell, and with music by Oddfellows Casino. Find out more via drbramwell.com and check out Oddfellows Casino on Bandcamp, where you'll also find links to my album and book, The Cult of Water. Many thanks to all the guests in this series and to you, the listener. Watery blessings to you all.